We welcome back Admiral Brett Giroir, former Assistant Health Secretary at HHS in the Trump administration. Brett, welcome back, sir. Thank you for helping us. I guess this is tricky business. Couple things here. The early thinking from some experts, I don't want to tie you down, I'm just going to say some experts, including the chair of the South African Medical Association, the woman who first alerted that country about the Omicron variant, and also, maybe surprisingly, former Trump FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb. Now, they're telling us right now not to panic, and it may well be that the vaccines will protect from Omicron. Brett, before you weigh in, please take a listen to what Scott had to say.
You talk to people in vaccine circles, people who are working on a vaccine, they have a pretty good degree of confidence that a boosted vaccine, so 3 full doses of vaccine, is going to be fairly protective against this new variant. If someone who's been infected with Delta is well protected from this, and someone who is fully boosted is also well protected from this, that could be a pretty good backstop from this becoming really epidemic in the United States.
Right. There we go. So, Brett, what do you make of what Scott Gottlieb said? What do you just make of this in general? Lead us off for us. You think the vaccines will hold us, or what?
So thanks, Larry, for having me on. I do think this is a variant of concern, but it's not a cause for panic. We don't know that this is any more serious than any other strain of COVID. And yes, most assessments are across the board that a fully boosted vaccine will still be protective against Omicron. It may not be as protective against the garden variety of strain, but it still will be protective, particularly with a boost. And I also want to remind everyone that very important tomorrow, the Ridgeback Merck drug, the oral antiviral, is at the FDA Advisory Committee. We can expect that drug to work exactly as well against Omicron as it has against all the other strains. So it is very important that that gets an authorization tomorrow as belt and suspenders to keep us safe from Omicron.
Brett, the president said no shutdown, no lockdown, at least for now. You agree with him?
I agree, except for the last part. It shouldn't be a lockdown or shutdown, period. We have all the tools now to protect ourselves, including vaccines. We have tests. We can test people coming into this country. We have drugs that are available, like the oral antivirals that I hope will get authorized tomorrow. And moreover, right now, we know that the lockdowns have caused tremendous suffering in our country. I do believe that what we did to slow the spread in the Trump administration was right, because we had no tools. This is a different day. With all the tools we have available, we should not be shutting anything down.
Yeah, I mean, it just, you know, the weight of the evidence. I mean, you and I went through this for a year on the task force and went back and forth since then. But it just seems, Brett, that the weight of the evidence really suggests with a lockdown, that cure did more harm than good. It did more harm than the disease. In fact, may have made the disease worse.
Well, I think the way that we described it, with only the 15 and then 30 days to slow the spread, which was a partial shutdown, and then, you know, we spent the rest of the time trying to open up the country and to keep it open, including schools. I think certain states did inappropriate lockdowns that were tremendously harmful. Look, we had over 100,000 opioid deaths. We have a crisis of mental illness in our children with depression and suicidality. These are all the results of what we've been through the last year. We can't repeat that this year. And again, the main difference is we have tools. Last March, we had no tools aside from shutting down to the degree we can to slow it. Now we have all the things that we developed and that are continuing to be developed today, like the oral drug that we hope gets authorized tomorrow.
It just strikes me also, Governor Hochul of New York immediately called an emergency and no elective surgeries in the hospitals. I mean, I don't know, Brett, you're the expert. I'm not the expert. What do you think about that?
Well, look, I've been looking through the data this morning. According to the CDC website, there are only 2,200 people hospitalized for COVID in the entire state of New York, and they have 60,000 or so hospital beds. So 3% are with COVID. I think it is insane to cancel elective surgery. This is not like tummy tucks. This is gallbladder operations, bad backs for chronic pain. It could even be cardiac surgery. How about reconstruction after a mastectomy? These are all elective surgeries. These are critically important surgeries. If our hospitals were full of COVID, sure. But with 3% of your beds occupied by COVID, I don't understand how this makes any sense whatsoever.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you say that. I mean, to me, it's just grandstanding, you know, playing to the far left or whatever. She will pay for that because it looks like a pretty bad error of judgment. Brett, talk to me about the travel restrictions. Now, you recall when President Trump slapped travel restrictions first on China and then Europe and then later on Africa, he was accused by Biden and the Democratic allies, racism, all kinds of horrible things. And yet they're doing the same thing. I'm not even saying they're wrong, but I'm going to get your take on travel restrictions. But they criticized us heavily with the race card and other things. Now it seems like the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, absolutely. We were all criticized for that, and we had much more reason to do it back then than he has to do it now. And the reason I say that is because we can make sure that people are vaccinated and that they're tested. We did not have that ability then. I really, you know, it's not a terrible decision to put a travel restriction from Africa right now by Biden. It's just not one that I support because it's clear that Omicron is widespread across the world. It's in Canada, and I can guarantee you that it's in the United States already. So the travel restriction is going to put disincentives on countries for doing the right thing. And again, we have testing, we have vaccines, we have all kinds of things that we did not have a year and a half ago at the origin of this. And yes, the shoe's on the other foot. You know, hypocrisy just continues to amaze me. What we hear today that we didn't hear a year and a half ago.
Yeah, isn't that interesting, hypocrisy? I was talking to Marty McClary over the weekend on the radio show, and he raised an interesting point, Brett, get your take on it. He said, look, one of the problems, mistakes, is that we have not gotten the vaccine. We have not exported enough of the vaccine. He said there's quite a bit of overflow. Overflow meaning his number was either 30 million or 40 million of the vaccines were thrown away because they were not used, and that could have been exported around the world, perhaps particularly the less developed countries, you know, maybe the sub-Saharan countries. But McClary was really annoyed at that. He said that's what we should have been doing, but there's no emphasis or there's no game plan to do it. What do you think on that?
So I am supportive of the booster shots in the United States. I do think it's the right thing to do, particularly for those who are vulnerable. But there is no way that we should let even one vaccine go to waste. And Marty's a really smart guy, and he's got the Hopkins machinery behind him. Wasting 10, 20, 40 million doses is unconscionable. You know, when there's a week left or 2 weeks left of expiration, those need to be sent overseas anywhere to be given, because we are seeing that, and it is true that the more we vaccinate globally, the less likely we are to have a problem here in the United States. So that requires some organization. Maybe they need to get the Warp Speed team back in to help them with that.
Happy to do it, right? We'll see. Admiral Brett Giroir, thank you, sir. We appreciate it and hope you'll come back as this story unfolds.